Hey, Talia here, and today on I Got Back Up, I'm joined by Ludovic Peze. A resilient entrepreneur and motorsport expert, Ludo founded Motors Formula Team with a vision to redefine excellence on the track. After overcoming a life changing battle with meningitis B, Ludo channeled that determination into building his life and proving to himself what he is capable of.
Thank you to welcoming me first, and I'm quite happy to share my story, to be honest, because that's why I had interest with the podcast. I see the amazing people that went in the podcast with you and sharing their stories. And as you said earlier, with the timing of things happening, I think cannot be, in some ways, if I can say, a better day to share my story.
hmm No, I agree with you. And we're going to obviously get into everything. And it's all about meningitis. But so when you hear the phrase, I got back up, what does it make you think and feel?
For me, it was really resonating because it was like, okay, I got meningitis. It was very hard, and now I'm in a position that I feel much better, and I can also help people because I'm in a better position. So that's what resonate with me.
No, so it's the resonation of the feeling of going through something and then
Yeah,
being in a position that you survived it, you made it through, and being able to then share your wisdom and everything you've been through to help and support others.
exactly.
So, with all of that in mind, I want you to take everybody listening and watching to the beginning of your journey, where you want to start us. It's over to you.
So how my journey started, basically, I was born in Monaco. That's
Mhm.
why my background. My dad is French. My mom is from Mauritius Island. So I think I'm kind of melting pot. And I grew up around Monaco doing my studies there and so on. But what was, let's say, the starting point was 2013 when I got meningitis B while I was studying at university. And that was the turning point because from one day I was student and the next day when I woke up from there, I was like in a ICU at hospital.
And it literally happened overnight.
Yeah. I felt sick a bit at the uni, so I told my parents, "Okay, when I come back from the uni, I'm going to the doctor." I went to the doctor, I got some medication, everything following. Even started to feel better. And what was insane, like it happened in November, and like my younger brother has a birthday on 14th, and mine is on 20th. And my parents asked me, "Okay, do you feel better? Do you want to do you feel you can do the birthday of your brother with all of us and everything?" So I was like, "Yeah, I feel better, of course, let's do it." So we did the cake, we did everything. I went to sleep and I woke up literally few days after in hospital.
So, what were the symptoms?
So in my case, I had stiff neck.
Mhm.
So really stiff, when you have this tiredness, but it's really strong and very hard. It was like this. I felt like a vampire, meaning when there was lights, literally like a vampire, like you see in the movies. Like when someone was switching on the lights, I was getting really angry, nervous, and this. I had like fever. I lost also my voice, like really, and then which I didn't see, which is also a very strong common point for meningitis. I had like rash, and this is like something like when you see this like purple buttons. This is a big sign that is meningitis and that you have to react fast. So how my parents get to know it, it was in fact my mom. She started to talk to me and she see that I was not responding and I was like just doing some noise but not really responding. So she straight called my doctor. He knew me since I was kid, and when she called him and she told him what I am, he straight jumped in his car, came to the house, and in 5 minutes, it was like, I'm calling the hospital, but which was even more crazy because like it's not enough drama. When he called the ambulance, they were like, "Oh, this is the season, it's winter, everybody gets sick, it could be a gastroenteritis or whatsoever." And he was insisting with them that they have to come with the ambulance and take me over. So after negotiation, they came. He was not able to follow me because his car broke down. So on top of that, and then when they brought me to the hospital, I get to know the story later on. All the ambulance crew got put in quarantine because of the contagious of the meningitis. And this is the part of the story I didn't know, I didn't experience. My parents got to tell me and my doctor. But on my side was just like I went to do the birthday, I went to sleep, I woke up, I think it was 4 days after in hospital, and I remember first question they were like, "Do you know where you are?" I was like, not really having my full mind, but I said, "Yeah, I'm in hospital." And then it was like craziest experience of my life.
Well, then let's hear the craziest experience of your life.
Yeah, it was like the fact that I knew I was at the hospital, but I didn't understood what happened to me.
Mhm.
My brain was really triggering me at some point that I was able to recognize faces like that they were familiar to me, but I cannot put name on people's face, like even my parents, best friend, sister, and brother. I was not even able to remember my birthday, my age, anything. The only thing I knew was like I was at hospital, something happened to me, a lot of doctor going around me, plugged I was plugged everywhere, and and yeah.
So I just want to ask then, was this something that you said obviously it was a birthday and then 4 days later you were in hospital. Was it a did it obviously all suddenly happen overnight or did it kind of take those few days and then
To develop, you mean?
Mhm,
I would say some of the major things for meningitis was there from I would say from the birthday night, because
mhm.
some symptoms came like slowly, like a normal sickness, let's say like this, but the rest they came overnight. It was like an accumulation of symptoms in a couple of hours. That's why my situation was pretty bad, because exactly I accumulate too much symptoms and at a very risky level. That this I knew afterwards, but basically when they brought me to hospital, they locked me up in the ICU and they told to my parents, now you have to wait 48 hours to know if he's going to survive or not. We are going to do our best. And this, I didn't know it till I got like the report of the hospital and it was written black on white on the report. And I was like, I think that's the day I realized that I came close to death
Mm.
because of that. People told me that, my friends, my family, but I was like, okay, I was really bad, but I didn't have the conscious at that time to realize it. I realized it only afterwards.
It's fascinating and isn't it that you can be so close to death and sometimes you have no idea until afterwards. And to know that you had 48 hours of a fighting chance and you may not have even, we may not be sitting here right now because of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly.
Um, and it's the same with what I went through. I could have died the day I had my accident. And I'm aware of that. Like, I know I take that with me. So I want to ask you actually, now you know that, now you know you were so close to death in those 48 hours. Has that changed anything in your mindset or the way you look at life or just anything in your life since?
Yeah, definitely. Like basically, I would say the first point was like at that time I was very sportive, very healthy. I'm still, but less sporty, unfortunately, with my work. But at that time, I was really sporty. I was young. I was not smoking, drinking, anything. So they say it was a major point to go through. So that's why they were confident on top of the treatment I got. But then on top of that, when I started to, I would say it was mostly after the hospital, probably a few months after when I came back, that I was like, okay, now I survived something crazy. I have second chance. I think I should use it to do something I really want to do and not based on what someone told me to do in my studies or something like this. And that's why that's how I started, let's say, the jump in my motorsport journey. And in fact, I could have been like you. Meanwhile, I was at the hospital, I was accepted in a sport journalist school, but I didn't made it because I was at the hospital and it was too late. And I was like, okay, was not made for me. Maybe I should not be in some ways a journalist, but I should be more involved into the sports. And that's how I started my journey.
So you nearly went into sports journalism, but while you were in hospital with meningitis, it all basically fell through.
Yeah, yeah, because you know the time you register, you apply, they see your resume, your results at schools and everything, and they were really happy to have me. And then my parents say, yeah, we had to reply and say, you're at hospital, we don't know if you're going through, how long it's going to take to you to recover, so we have to put on hold till you feel normal again, and then you can decide. But I was like, no, I need to use that chance. I can do this. I need to do something bigger in some ways.
Yeah, and no, I completely agree with you. And uh, it's fascinating because the fact that it happened at that time, I mean, you just said it, that journey, that path clearly wasn't for you. And I mean, life took it out of your control and out of your own hands and showed you why, in a way that, you probably didn't need to go through. But it's fascinating how it's just fascinating how that means that journey, that path wasn't for you, and the timing of your life. And I think a lot of things in life come down to the timing of our lives, and
Yeah.
and where we're going, who we are, what we're meant to be, what we're meant to do. There really is, a lot of people say there's no right time in life, but at the same time, I think there is a right time.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Mm. Mm.
I definitely think so because, as you say, the more I see it, the more something happen on my way. Someone proposed me something, or like the school, and for reason, life made that this thing is
Mm.
not happening, and I'm going to something else.
Mhm.
And I believe a lot in that.
Yeah, life literally said no.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like no, and there's no chance to go back to it. It's like no and close the door.
Yeah, yeah, literally. No, literally. You didn't even have the opportunity to make the decision yourself.
Yeah,
But with that in mind, when one door closes in life, and even if it's locked, another door will always open afterwards.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the thing was like I had a long time for rehabilitation, so I had time to really, first of all, get back to my shape, get back to regain muscle, because the thing is like, which I didn't realize when I was in hospital, I lost so much capacities. I was like a baby, literally, meaning I can understand, I can start to have a little conversation and so on, but I didn't know how to walk.
Hmm.
I had to relearn how to walk and all those things. And the memory was taking a while to come back, to be honest. So the time that I put myself in a better situation physically, mentally, and try to recover, I started to brainstorm and say, okay, now I'm stuck at home. I cannot go out. I cannot do anything. I need to find a plan, or I'm going to get crazy. So what can I do? And I was like, okay, I grew up in Monaco. My dad was a mechanic. Um, I like motorsports. Before that, I was a football coach for the youth in Monaco. We did well, which was crazy because this time I was still doing the football coach in the when I was hospital, and we were playing for the championship. And it took me so long to come back that I came back literally end of the season. So I managed to come back for the last month. The good thing I was managing the team with one of my cousins, so he take care of everything. We're always working together, but to be back physically on the football pitch and coaching and everything was literally the month before the season ending, and we managed to be champion. And for me, it was like, okay, I achieved in some ways a little dream, being born in Monaco, coaching in Monaco, and winning a title with the players was awesome. So now I need to think what I really want to do and do something else. And because of what I say with the motorsport,
Hmm.
I was always watching a lot of racing, analyzing a lot of things, and it came naturally to my mind because I had some friends that were racing drivers, and when I start to talk to them, they were like, "Man, you're analyzing the thing like you're part of the team, and you're not even part of the team. So how do you know this, and that? Maybe there's a way for you in that sport. You should explore it more." So I kept it in my mind, and I started like this slowly. Then I called to a friend of mine and said, "Watch, I want to launch myself in motorsports. Let's try out." So we put our savings. We rent a Formula 4 car. We went to the track. My dad accompanied us, and we did the thing. And when we went on the track first time, we did the fastest lap and the category lap record. And because I was so young at the time, I was 22, the people, when they came to congrats, they thought I was the driver and my dad was like the manager. And my dad said, no, I'm just the dad. It's the first of my son, so I just came to support and help in case, but he organized everything. I didn't do anything. So I was like, okay, maybe it's the luck of the beginner, so
Mhm.
let's try again. And that's how it started. And each time we went on track and do a test or something, every time the professional people, sometimes some racing champions, came to me and say, "Hey, you have a sharp eye. Every time you go, you're doing things well. You find the good drivers. They perform well. You organize the thing well. I think there's really a chance for you to do something there."
Mhm. So what is it that you're doing now then?
So now what I'm doing mostly is like driver development and driver
Mhm.
management. So basically, I accompany drivers and their family to guide them in their career. Meaning, when they start in karting, everybody dreams of F1. But it's a really complex world because of the money around and the
Mm.
politics and everything. So you need to get someone that can help you to navigate through it, avoid the mistake because mistakes in motorsport cost a fortune.
Mhm.
And if the driver is good enough, there is always a chance to find something. Can be going from karting to Formula 4, and then maybe some doors will open to step up to the next Formula, still F1. Or if I take the case most recently in the past month, thanks to that, I started also to scout, but more directly within F1 teams. So I was like, okay, I have enough experience. I don't have contacts because I started from nowhere, but now I have experience in motorsport, 10 years. Everybody know what I did in endurance and these categories. So I'm going to bet and contact an F1 team and say, this is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
That's why I think it could work for you. I did it. I sent my email after Abu Dhabi GP without any expectation. And like few days after, I got a reply and proposed a video call. And it was with the sport director of the F1 team. We talked. It seems that we are very aligned on values and vision. And from
Mhm.
that, they said, okay, when you find someone, propose us the name, we can evaluate. And if it's good, we're probably going to integrate the driver in our F1 driver academy. And in fact, in 6 months, it went from that discussion to sign a pre-contract from one of our driver with the team in question. So I came literally from 6 months from an email to being sat in a F1 factory with the sport director and the team principal. So that was kind of insane for me.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and you know what? It's amazing to even have that drive, that courage, and that I'm going to send the email because I have I have a very similar story. I and that's why I really resonate with that because mine happened from an email. I I reached out to Arsenal Fan TV. This was before I was doing my podcast, but before everything else, I sent an email to Arsenal Fan TV one day and I got a job 3 days later. And I remember sitting there at the time thinking to myself, "Oh, they must get hundreds and thousands of emails. They're never going to see mine." But I also remember saying to myself, "You have to just send it, and I guess let life, let life happen. And if it's going to be for me, it's going to be for me."
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you did. You sent an email with an off chance of, we'll see. And 6 months later, there you were in living a dream.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also the turning point, I forgot to mention about that, what was like 2018. That's the picture on my background. If I move a bit, you can see the F1 car. Uh, when we did the Monaco Historic GP, because when I started, a lot of people were like skeptic
Mm,
about me coming from nowhere. Okay, I was born in Monaco, I grew up, but I'm from a modest family. I didn't have any contacts, nothing. So they were like, this guy is never going to make it. And like few years after, first big thing was like Monaco Historic GP. They saw me, they saw the car, my logo, and then they cannot deny it anymore. So everybody realized, hey, the thing he was telling us 3, 4 years before, he was not lying. He was
mm,
really doing it in background, and they see it in front of their eyes. So that's how the thing starts. I would say quite fast for me, where people in motorsport started to see and say, "Watch, there is a young guy. He's doing his own way, and." he managed to do this. So if he can manage the logistic, the
Mhm.
driver, and on such difficult things like Monaco Historic, because in fact there are real F1 cars just from the past, but it's everything F1. So you can't be, let's say, amateur with the car or with the things, because at that time those cars, and they are still so dangerous that if something is wrong, the driver can kill himself. And Monaco, unfortunately, is the most one of the craziest track for this. So you have to be very good at everything, managing, working with the mechanics and everybody to be sure that everything is safe for the driver. And when we did that, I would say couple of months after, that's how I started to get more trust from the people in motorsports and different categories.
I think a really important point to note on what you just said is quite a lot of people, before you're doing your dream, living your dream, or whatever it might be, quite a lot of people will almost put you down in life. And it's fascinating how many people do it. They say, oh, you won't really make it, or you're not good enough, or you haven't got the experience, or who are you? And it is interesting how many people will almost try to stunt your dreams. And I understand sometimes people do it out of care. They're worried, that you might not make it and what that might do to you. But I think there's another side, and a lot of people just do it and say it. And I don't know why. But obviously, with what you did, and for anybody listening, if anyone in your life ever says to you, you're probably not going to make it, do it and prove them wrong. Do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Do it anyway. Try not to let that make you feel rubbish and make you feel insecure and make you believe you're not going to do it, because as soon as you start to doubt yourself, as soon as you don't believe in yourself anymore, that will change your trajectory and it will affect you. So listen to people, maybe ish, kind of let it go in, take it out the other side. But no matter what anyone says, if you believe in yourself at the end of the day, the only person that has to believe in you is you. And if you believe in yourself, no matter what anyone else is saying, you go chase your dreams, you go chase after anything you want, and watch life magically unfold for you.
yeah, yeah, I agree with you. For me, I was taking it as a source of motivation
Hmm.
because of what happened to me with the meningitis. I was like, hey, come on, I went through that thing. I don't think someone can really stop me. And I was kind of pumped to, let's say, catch the time back. So I was really going through like a rhino, and I say, I don't care what's in front of me, I'm just going and doing my thing. And that was an extra source of motivation, and particularly with that Monaco Historic GP, there's the famous corner, the Rascas, where there's like a sports bar and lounge and so on. And because I used to be a customer, celebrate my birthday there and so on, when I asked them and say, oh, can we do something cool and put maybe our F1 car there, so we can do cocktail with the partners and families and so on. So they accepted, of course. And for me, that was big revenge because the car was there, and there was so many tourists, so many people taking picture with cars that, in fact, my own family and my cousin had to queue to take a picture with me and the car. So that was a good revenge. And even some people that didn't believe in me and say that I'm not going to make it, in fact, they went to see and take the picture of the cars and realize it. So I could have a better revenge than that, to be honest.
I like that. You couldn't have had a better revenge.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it because I understand a lot of people are very scared to follow their dreams, because stepping out your comfort zone, doing something that not everyone else is doing, you know, even if it's this, everyone else, if they're not doing it, it can be terrifying. I don't get me wrong, it can be absolutely terrifying. But how I see it as well is someone else on this planet's done it. They've done it in their own way. So why can't you? If someone else has done it, then you can absolutely do whatever it is as well that you really want to do. And something you may even mentioned earlier is doing it in your way. Do it how you want to do it. Everyone is so unique on this planet. Why do we want to be carbon copies of everybody
Yeah.
else? There's so many people. Why would we want to be the same as everyone else or even someone else? Yes, similar traits, don't get me wrong, but we have one life, and some of them can be a lot shorter than others, unfortunately. And some of us can go through things that really wake us up, but we do only have one life. do it how you want to do it. Like, do it exactly how you want to do it. Be the person you want to be. And I always say it, the right people, the right opportunities, the right job, the right home, the right everything will find you when you're authentically you. And if you lose people, jobs, homes, what if you lose things along the way, that's not for you and your journey. That's not going to help you grow.
Yeah.
We have to keep growing, and we can. We are always changing, always evolving, always growing. And if we lose things along the way, they're not really losses because they're actually not going to help us and shape us and motivate us and help us grow moving forward in the future.
No, I agree with you totally, as you say. Um, in terms of professional life, in terms of personal life, yeah, definitely those things at the beginning when it's happening, you're like, you feel sad and everything, but then you're like, yeah, maybe this person couldn't, I would say, deal with that because, yeah, of course, if I'm going in motorsport and let's say one day I'm in F1, there will be a lot of pressure around this person because it's like in football, everybody wants to know about my life. Everybody want to know about people that are around me, and this can bring a lot of pressure by being under the spotlight, even if I'm not a racing driver. But I understood that, so I was really careful when I was choosing either people in my personal life or people that works with me because it's not easy, including for me, that from one day to another you're someone totally unknown. You're doing your things in your corner, and the next day you get in the medias, particularly on my side that I'm half Mauritian. There are not many people from Mauritius doing things in motorsports. I think we are only two or three. There is Pascal Verlaine, which was F1 driver and Formula E champion. There is a lady that is engineer in F1, and there is me. So we are not so many people. So of course, when there's someone doing something totally different, totally exceptional, um, medias wants to talk about it and share the story. And I remember my first article was I translated, but was literally the crazy bet of Ludovic Peze. And when I read the title, I was furious and I was like, why they wrote that is a crazy bet? I know what I'm going to do. And for me it was another motivation, say I'm going to show them that that's not so crazy and I'm going to make it.
You've had a lot of different motivations in life to be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I think it's good. I think that's what kept me long in this sport and
mm,
kept me motivated and always trying to get closer to the goal or closer to the top by showing to people that, yeah, I'm coming from zero, but I'm good at what I'm doing. So if you understand it and you think there's an advantage to work with me, then maybe you would open the door.
mm. And if they don't, it's their loss.
Exactly.
But I think it's also not just showing to other people, it's showing to yourself. You're showing to yourself that despite anything and everything, you can achieve your dreams. You can dream bigger than you've ever dreamt before, and you can achieve the most amazing, incredible things in your life. And you can keep doing it, and you can keep going. Nothing's going to stop you.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I think, as you said earlier, it's really important to think like this because as you say, and it happened to me a few times, the moment you start to doubt of yourself is like a negative spiral, and then it's really complicated to go back up to it and find your energy and go back into this mode of, let's say, being a winner. So
Yes.
it's really important to not doubt too much yourself. And I learned it with the years, like start to be more open and work with people that can help you on that thing. Because what I didn't mention is like going back to meningitis, like I think it was 2 or 3 years ago only, which was a huge gap. But one day I woke up, I felt bad, I felt I have an heart attack and things like this. So I went to the hospital, and when I did all the checkup, they say no, all the datas are fine, you have nothing. I was like, no, no, I feel bad, there's something. So then we do another exam, and they say, did something happen to you in your life? And fun fact, my sixth sense told me to take my big envelope with my meningitis report and take it with me in my backpack. And they said, oh, did something happen to you in your life? Something bad? And I take my backpack, I took the envelope, I give to the doctor, and when the psychologist opened the file, and I think after the second or third pages, she was like, "Okay, we find the answer. We know where it's coming from. You had post-traumatic stress syndrome." And she said, "You got this. It detect now because you did something that triggered your mind, that reminds you what happened to you in the hospital and everything. And okay, we are going to recommend you some experts. We are going to call them even so you get a straight meeting after you see us to help you to recover from that." And she was like, in some ways, not sad, but be disappointed because she said the time when I had meningitis, people were focused a lot on the physical aspect, meaning when you get the meningitis, you can be disabled, you can be blind, you can be deaf, you can get amputation of any members and things like this, or even over handicap. But there were not really studies focused on the mental aspect.
Mhm.
And it came, as I say, more or less in the timing, like I would say, 2020 or short after COVID, where some doctors started to make some studies. I was thinking mostly in Sweden and Nordic countries about the mental effect of the meningitis on patients and so on. And from that, I realized that that was the worst thing for me. I was living for a couple of years with this in me, not knowing. Sometimes I felt bad. I was like, I don't understand. I got like some, how do you say, panic attack or things like this in specific cases. Not really when I was at work or on track. But from that, I started to know, okay, I have to work with some people that can help me because this is going to make a big difference
Mhm.
on how I feel. And if I start to keep going down and feel bad and be in this negative spiral, or I work with someone that can help me and make me, at least most of the time, being on the good energy and this winning energy and winning mindset where I can keep moving forward. And this is something really important, I would say, particularly for men,
Mhm.
because most of the time, till now, I would say, it has been seen as a sign of weakness. When you talk about your mental health as a man, it's sign of weakness, meaning, ah, you're a weak person. And that's why nobody dare to talk about it or share this. And the more I worked with people, the more I realized, no, it's not a weakness, it's sign of being strong, because if you
Mhm.
admit that you have an issue and that you can find the people to help you to work on it and be a better person, or at least closer to the person you want to be, then it's something really strong. So that's why I did that.
That's a key message is that it's not weakness. It never is. It's strength. And if you can accept whatever it is and ask for help, however you get the help, it's a sign of strength and it's a sign of, okay, I don't want to live like this anymore. I know I can't live like this anymore. I want to try in any way possible to become the best person I can. And asking for help in any aspect, whatever it might be, is a sign of strength.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
How was that for you then with all of that getting help?
I think I saw the change, and not only me, I feel better, more confident, but people around me.
Mm,
And sometimes that's funny because people see it more than myself. They're
mm,
like, "Hey, I see you are good now. You're in good vibe, good energy. Things are moving forward." And I'm someone really, in some way, really impatient. So they're like, "Okay, that's good that they see it, but for me,
mm.
I'm not where I want to be." So that's the positive point out of it. And fun fact, while I was doing these sessions, like I discovered that I have like I think in English it's HIP, because it's like high potential intellectual or something like that. And and the doctor was like, "Hey, I think you have this on top. That's why when you were like thinking, when you were like doubting and you didn't find answer with people, because yeah, the way your brain is working, you have millions of idea, you're very fast on thinking and on a lot of things. So that's why sometimes you're disagreeing with people and they don't understand you." And this also helped me a lot because I got like answer of things that I was asking me for life. And I was like, finally, I got the answer that I was always asking myself, why I'm thinking like this, why I'm not acting like all my family or friends. And this was really helpful. So I was able to work on this more and make more understanding for myself, but also for
Mhm.
the other people, which in fact, it's better. And on the other things as well, it's really helpful as well in the work. So yeah.
Did you do anything like with that? Or was it just good to know?
For me, it was good to know, but we worked on it as well
Mhm,
to understand uh, more myself. What could be sometimes why I have some reactions or why I'm thinking like this and not like this. When sometimes it could be logic for me, but not for the people.
mhm,
And fun fact, what was the reaction? A lot of people are telling me, "Damn, Ludo, you always have ideas. You see, you tell me things months or years before it's happening, and stuff like that." And I think to use that good point, I didn't know it at that time, but I realized that's why it helped me a lot during COVID. When everybody was panicking on what they can do, I lose my job, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. I took the piece of paper when I wrote when I started with my work in 2014, and I was like checking, oh, what do I put on this list? What idea? And then I saw, oh, sim racing. That was part of the first idea. Now we cannot go to the racetrack. The only thing is online, so it's sim racing. Okay, finally I can apply this idea. And that's something that I wrote back like 6 years before.
mm.
And while people were panicking, I was able to do a lot of sim racing events, brought F1 drivers with us online and competitions and things. So I think in some ways, without knowing that at that time, it helped me a lot to
Mm.
not panic, but just like switching the mode and find something else that could work meanwhile the situation is not normal.
Something that you wrote down 6 years prior, 6 years later, you were then able to start doing.
Yeah, yeah. But I have things like this, same with the drivers, like as I said earlier with the F1 driver. The driver in question was managed by an ex-F1 driver that sell the word to the parents, say, "Oh, I can do this, I can do that. You will see." I say to the dad, I say, "Okay, you see, this guy's an ex-F1 driver. I'm nobody. I just have my experience and I know how it's working. Give me 6 months, and you're going to be seated with a team principal in a factory with a proposal of contract." And this is what happened literally 6 months after I say that. So yeah,
Do you think if you hadn't have gone through what you went through with meningitis, did you have this mindset before, or do you think everything changed afterwards?
I think I had it partly when I was coaching in football that
Mhm,
I was like, I remember I got some remarks sometimes. People were, or the parents were saying, "Oh, you're training the kids so hard, they are just teenagers." I say, "Yeah, but here everybody's dreaming of becoming a professional footballer. So the earlier they learn how to be a professional footballer, the more chance they get to be taken into the academy. And that's how we get the results, where nobody expects us to be regional champion and so on. And that's how, if I remember well, two of the players we had at that time, I think 2 years after they went in the academy. So for me, I was like always trying to
mm,
maximize and do the best to get the best results possible.
mhm. So you've always had it. It just
Yeah,
ignited.
yeah,
I like that. I like that. I think we've all got it inside us. Some of us more than others, but sometimes, unfortunately or fortunately, depending how anyone wants to see their lives, those things we go through ignite this fire inside of us and give us a kick sometimes, and it leads us into a lot of our dreams coming true.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you with that.
I just want to ask then, just quickly, when you were hospitalized with meningitis, how long were you in hospital? And how
I
long was
was
the recovery?
I was in the hospital for 15 days, if I remember
Mhm.
well. So I was like 10 days in the ICU, and then I managed to be so annoying that they put me to the normal hospital. But I think this is where, like, I can say my personality and my fighting spirit came in. Basically, when I was in ICU, I heard crazy thing, people dying around me and things like that that were so bad. And I say, watch, if you want me to recover, I'm telling you one thing, just put me back to the normal part of the hospital where they're like nobody, put me in a room alone, and you're going to see if I'm not going to recover fast. And they started to tell me, oh, but you know, to be in a normal room, you have to be able to walk by yourself and things
Mhm.
like this. So the minute they told me this, I call my friend and I say, man, every time you can come, we are going to walk that hospital, walk in the corridors, because they won't let me go out of this place if I can't walk by myself. So that's what I did. And after knowing them for a few days, they were like, oh, we finally got a room, so you can go up. And literally in few days, it changed everything. My recovery was much faster, but what I didn't know, I thought, oh, when I go out of the hospital, everything is done and it's good. In fact, it was not. I stayed, I would say, not hospitalized, but at home with medication and exams and things for nearly a year and a half to recover. It took me several months to get my memory back. The thing that was fast to recover was like regain muscle, going to sports. I was doing a lot of swimming, running, gym, everything. I had the motivation to be back stronger. So that was the thing. And the first thing I did after the hospital, I said to my dad, watch, I want to drive a karting to see at which state I am physically, mentally. And
Mhm.
when I went into the kart, I was so weak that I was more the passenger of the car than driving the cart.
Mhm.
So that's how I understood that I have a lot of work to do to get back my strength and being in a normal position to drive properly.
Mhm. You have a real fighting spirit. It's amazing.
Thank you.
You really do. It's incredibly inspirational to listen to.
Thank you.
I just want to ask then, obviously, before we wrap up, what are the main symptoms or signs of meningitis B?
So I will check to not tell you some mistake because of course, as I said earlier, there's like the strong headache. The strong headache is one of the thing, and that's the problem with meningitis. Is sometimes you have like strong headache, and you think it's like any normal migraines or thing like this, which you need to be careful. What I had also was like I didn't have really fever, but fever and vomiting is also something, and that's also another point where it's similar to any sicknesses. But what is really, I would say, unique in some ways for meningitis is like the stiff neck, as I said, when you have really a stiff neck, meaning you really have pain. Um, issue with dealing with the lights. As I said, like I was feeling like a vampire, like literally when you switch on the lights, it was like disaster. Then you can have some seizures sometimes. What is also very common and which I used to add at the time was I was confused, meaning when people were talking to me, as I said, I didn't really know where I was, what to reply. This another point is also you can have cold feet, but one point, as I said, that is really symptomatic. It's not happening all the time, but I would say is the rash when you have this little purple marks.
Mhm.
This is definitely a sign. But the problem of those marks is like most of the time it's happening when it's kind of too late. So I would say most important is to retain about the stiff neck, the fever, and the light. And if someone is confused, meaning if you have someone that start to say, "Oh, can you switch off the light? I don't feel good," and start to be a bit confused, and you see that the person is not like used to be,
Mhm.
and having those symptoms and telling, "Oh, you know, my neck." Wait,
Mhm. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
I don't think a lot of people know all the symptoms, so
yeah. That's why I'm trying to share as much as possible, particularly with what's happening now. As I said, UK is quite advanced because they have different meningitis
Mhm.
foundation or charities that are doing a lot. They have like people that are doing London Marathon under the Meningitis Research Foundation or Meningitis Now. A lot of activation, and I got surprised when it's happening those days because, as I say, compared to other countries, including in France, there's not much communication.
Mm.
around meningitis, which in UK is quite advanced. It's quite, I would say, um, in the news as well. And I was surprised that people still not aware about this. So that's
Mm.
why I'm trying to advocate more for this and explain people what can be, because in fact just by saying what are the symptoms it can save lives. So for me
Mhm.
it's really important to share my story and share what can be the symptoms of meningitis.
No, I completely agree with you. So thank you for sharing it. And then just one more question before we wrap up. You've beat meningitis B. You've also achieved some of the most amazing dreams in your life already. But you've obviously been through a lot and you've been through a dark place. What would you say to somebody that's going through just a dark place in general at the moment? Whether it's people telling them they're not going to achieve something, whether they think they're not going to achieve something, or just a general dark mental space. What would you say to somebody?
I think the most easiest thing is like trying to, even if you don't have the feeling or the vibe for it, trying to do something cool, something that you like. It can be going for a walk with music, it can be playing video games. That's happened to me sometimes, like when I feel overwhelmed, it's like, okay, I'm cutting off. I'm going to play video games. My mind is free, thinking something else, having fun, and then I'm back to a good mood. Um, Walking with music, it's helping a lot. Listening to music is helping a lot, to be honest. Try maybe to watch something where you have interest or you want to learn. And I would say that's where the podcasts are awesome, because you can find cases of people that were in a similar situation
Mhm.
before and that can inspire you, because it's not something, I would say, invented or played by actors. It's from real people, real experience, and this can help you a lot. And I think your podcasts, like some others, they can really help people to think, oh, okay, I'm really in real bad situation, bad shape, whatever. But watch, this guy also went to a similar experience and he made it.
Mhm.
And I think that that's why it's important. And also try to um yeah talk about it either to a specialist. I think that's the best way, because you can talk to friends, but sometimes with friends it's complicated to share something very deep and personal.
Mhm.
So if you have the chance to talk to a specialist or someone, just do it. It can
Mhm.
help a lot as well.
I agree with you. Talking out loud to anyone, but if you can get help is extremely important. And never be ashamed. Never
Yeah,
be ashamed of if you need to go speak to someone, never be ashamed.
yeah, exactly. It's important to go over it, I would say.
Mhm, mhm. And I guess the overarching message is you can do anything in life. You can beat you can beat things and you can achieve your dreams.
Yeah, yeah. And I used to, when I started, I used to have this motto for me, because it was someone that was really important in motorsport, of Ayrton Senna, that he say, yeah, you should never give up, no matter what people are telling you, no matter how people trying to distract you or say things about you, just stay focused, do your best, and don't give up. And this was really helpful. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's kind of my motto. Don't give up, because sometimes it can be really dark. You think, oh, it's done, I'm not going to make it. And as we say, life happening, and bam, something come on your table and you get what you are looking for. So, or even better. Most of the time it's even better than what you expected.
Most of the time, it is even better. And ironically, sometimes at that point where you want to give up, if you push through that 1%, usually is when everything turns around for you.
Yeah. Yeah. In that case, it happened to me a lot of time. I would
Mm.
say more than 10 times, that every time I wanted to give up, and I was like, I stop that thing. It's too complicated financially, mentally, whatsoever. And every time, bim, I got an email, I got a message, hey, can we meet? I have this for you. And I'm like, okay, that's a sign I should not give up. Okay, let's go to that meeting and see. And this at the beginning, I say, okay, once can happen, twice, three times, four times. But I'm like, okay, if it's open all the time,
Yeah,
it's like it means to be to me, so I should not give up.
100%. 100%. And it shows you as well that it can just keep happening.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me, Talia. And I hope that people would like to listen to it and get some, I would say, inspiration.
They 100% will. I'm inspired, so they 100% will.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here today. Life will knock us down, sometimes hard, and sometimes more than once. And when it feels impossible, know that your story isn't over yet. Sometimes when everything is falling apart, it's really falling into place. You have the power to rise, to heal, to make magic, and to evolve. And you have the power inside you. We all do. You have the power to get back up.